What was sexuality like in ancient China? In ancient China, people had a peculiar idea of sexuality. They saw it as more than just a physical act. Taoist monks in particular stood out in history. Unlike other monks, they took the surprising approach of intertwining sexuality with spirituality. They believed it could lead to enlightenment. Meanwhile, Chinese emperors took a different path. They maintained huge harems in an effort to preserve the lineage of the Celestial Empire. The culture of ancient China recognized the complex dance between physical passion and metaphysical elements. It was a realm where passion and spiritual understanding were intertwined, like the yin and yang symbol, harmony through duality. Ancient China, a tapestry of passion and metaphysics. An exploration of the depths of civilization's perception of love and enlightenment. Sexuality permeated ancient Chinese culture, and with the advent of writing, Chinese scholars and philosophers, particularly Taoists, devoted substantial attention to descriptions of sexuality in their works. These writings, however, were not pornographic novels. Instead, they constituted mystical medical treatises that taught men the art of bed rest, an allegorical reference to sex in China. These treatises delineated the ideal frequency and manner of sexual intercourse between a man and a woman to maintain youthful vigor and potentially attain immortality. While the pursuit of immortality through sex was typically attributed to men, women sometimes also mastered this practice. In his book Sexual Life in Ancient China, researcher Robert Van Gulik narrates the tale of Nyug. According to the legend recounted in the Lixian Zhuan, a compilation of biographies of Taoist immortals attributed to Lu Shang from the 1st century BC, Nyug, an alcohol merchant, encountered an immortal Taoist. The Taoist left behind the Book of the Sincere Virgin, a Taoist treatise on sex, as collateral after consuming wine at her shop. Nyug transcribed selected chapters, establishing a bedroom in her shop where she employed Taoist techniques to entertain young men. After 3 decades of practice, her appearance seemed frozen at 20 years of age. When the immortal Taoist revisited her shop, he observed the transformation and remarked, "To steal the Tao by learning it without a teacher is like having wings but being unable to fly." He then took Nyug away, presumably to instruct her in the ways of the Tao. So, what are the enigmatic secrets behind Taoist sexual techniques? In his book, Van Gulik elucidates the primary principle: a man should bring a woman to multiple orgasms without ejaculating. This practice was believed to harness the released female energy to invigorate the man and enhance his well-being. Some treatises even advised engaging in intercourse with multiple women in a single night. Indeed, Taoists possessed a robust understanding of sexuality. However, Taoist masters were renowned not solely for longevity. During the Yellow Armband Rebellion 184 to 204 AD, Taoists from the Taiping Tao sect spearheaded the rebellion. Subsequently, Buddhist monks frequently referenced instances where Taoist mystics resorted to orgies involving numerous men and women in their practices. In his work Jiao Lun, Buddhist monk Tao in 292 to 363 AD recounted that Taoists indulged in practices described in the Yellow Book, Huangshu, which included copulation rhythms of 3, 5, 7, 9 and the art of the earthly and heavenly net. Though voiced by a monk from a rival religion critiquing his adversaries, this depiction potentially contains some kernel of truth. No civilization is devoid of the presence of courtesans or prostitutes. Even during the Eastern Zhou dynasty 770 BC to 221 BC, there were girls referred to as Nyuu or musicians and Nyu Kui or women dolls who danced and sang to captivate the local princes. These individuals laid the foundation for courtesans who flourished during the Tang dynasty 618 to 907 AD. As this period witnessed an influx of aspiring scholars and students vying to pass official degree exams, urban centers experienced an upsurge in their numbers, with hopes of entering the societal elite. This surge in educated individuals fostered the growth of brothels, colloquially termed green harems. Women in these establishments were generally classified into 2 groups: prostitutes, who relied primarily on their beauty, and courtesans, who possessed talents encompassing dance, song, poetry, and engaging conversation. The latter group enjoyed greater freedom in selecting partners, contributing an element of sophistication to their companionship. Scholars and officials took pride in associating with courtesans. Apart from this elevated culture, regular brothels catering to a less refined population also existed. These establishments, officially sanctioned, registered openly, and subject to taxation, accepted women from various circumstances, prisoners of war, volunteers, or even those sentenced for misdemeanors. In certain cases, judges would sentence criminals to work in brothels. Visiting prostitutes was not considered a disgraceful act. In fact, some authors, including Robert Van Gulik, contended that engaging with prostitutes did not result in a wasteful loss of semen, asserting that these women, due to their frequent sexual activities, produced ample and potent feminine moisture yin, which supposedly benefited the client more than it cost him. This notion provided a justification for Chinese men who sought out the services of prostitutes, a practice they could, in a sense, rationalize to their wives. The chambers of Chinese emperors witnessed some of the most fascinating and tumultuous aspects of sexual life. The belief was that harmony within the emperor's bedchamber would extend to the well-being and prosperity of his subjects, much to the delight of the rulers. Every Chinese emperor maintained an extensive harem of wives and concubines. The sequence of sexual interactions with these women was meticulously regulated and supervised by designated officials. To predict when royal offspring could be conceived, each instance of intercourse was documented. During the Kaiyuan era 713 to 741 AD, anyone who shared the bed with the Son of Heaven received a seal imprinted with the phrase "Wind and moon are always new," symbolizing sexual intimacy. This seal, once affixed, couldn't be removed, serving as irrefutable proof of the woman's honored status. Nevertheless, it wasn't only the male members of the imperial family who maintained harems. Occasionally, princesses themselves presided over substantial numbers of men ready to cater to their desires. A prominent example is Lu Chuyu, known as Princess Shanayan, who, upon marrying an official named He Jin, swiftly grew disenchanted with monogamy. Notably, her brother Lu Zie, also known as Emperor Qianfei, boasted an extensive harem. Feeling slighted, Princess Shanayan confronted her brother, lamenting that she had only one husband compared to his myriad of wives. In response, her brother established a harem of 30 men within her palace, entrusted with attending to her needs. Although Princess Shanayan sought to accumulate energy, qi, through sexual encounters, her life concluded tragically. Following her brother's assassination in 465 AD and her uncle Lu Yu's ascension to the throne, her behavior was condemned, and she was compelled to end her life. Nonetheless, these narratives pale in comparison to the sexual proclivities of Emperor Sui Yang d. 581 to 618 AD. Having an official wife and numerous concubines, he swiftly grew weary of these options, developing a predilection for young girls, often around the age of 14. Unsurprisingly, these young girls did not reciprocate his advances, and his harassment left them frightened. Seeking a solution, he confided in a eunuch, who devised a unique contraption. This invention, resembling a modern wheelchair, enabled the emperor's desires. Various fetishes played a very important role in the sexual life of the Chinese. One could even say they were given too much importance. The cult of women's feet was one of the most widespread, and Chinese women suffered for centuries because of it. Only a girl with small, bandaged feet could expect a successful marriage. There are many legends explaining the origin of the custom of bandaging feet in ancient China. The most widespread of them states that Emperor Xiao Baojiwan had a concubine with tiny feet. She danced barefoot on a golden platform decorated with pearls that depicted lotus flowers. Marveling, the emperor exclaimed, "With every touch of her feet, lotus blossoms bloom." It was likely after this legend that the expression, lotus foot, referring to a very small, bandaged foot, came into use. Almost all sexual foreplay began with kissing feet that had been mutilated by extreme bandaging. Many men were known to be aroused by the sight of a woman's feet in small shoes, but shocked and frightened when they were without shoes. It wasn't until the mid-20th century, during the Cultural Revolution, that foot bandaging was finally stopped. However, the Chinese still hold the belief that the smaller a woman's feet, the sexier she is. This was a heinous practice that enslaved women. Girls were mutilated by their own mothers to satisfy men's erotic fantasies. A complete ban on foot bandaging was only achieved when the Communists came to power in 1949, even though an imperial decree had been issued as early as 1902.